I'm Becky. I searched for my holistic when we were going through a period of infertility, and I was desperately searching for something that we could control. I suppose if you ask anybody that's gone through infertility, the journey is just an absolute minefield. I think probably as we've gone through it, there's far more out there publicly for you to kind of look and see. When we first started, there was very little, and Heather was absolutely my font of questions and answers, really. You can feel quite lonely at times going through infertility, and so I always found this was a bit of a safe space to almost have a conversation without having to give the detail. Heather already knew bits of it, and so we could have an open and honest conversation, and I didn't feel I had to explain myself, and that was quite nice and refreshing, really. And if I had questions or queries, I could ask them openly, and she would give me honest answers. And I always kind of came away with a new nugget each time I came, and I had to go away and try and explain it in simplest terms to hubby, without kind of pressurising him into what we were doing next. But I kind of felt like I gained control by being in this process, which I didn't have before. Often when you go to appointments and things, they can almost baffle you with jargon, and I come away thinking I did know what they were going on about, and then I explained to Heather what had been said or what we discussed, and then she would absolutely explain. I think, okay, that wasn't really what I thought it was, but that now makes absolute sense. So it was very much a sounding board, one that I was very appreciative of. That constant person that you gain trust in. And so actually we did move around different specialists, and often sometimes that may have been on the recommendation of Heather, or where best next to try. She did provide that absolute constant, and that was exactly what we needed. You think you know absolutely everything about having a family until you can't have one, and then all of a sudden nothing made sense. My own body didn't make sense, and Heather kind of worked through that and kind of gave us either reading to do or just ideas of what things meant, things that perhaps you would never think of if you were just going to have a family naturally. And so, a font of knowledge. Heather was always very realistic. There was never ever guarantees that she would be able to wave a magic wand and make it happen. She was always very clear about that you would almost have the building blocks, and we would always hope for the best. It was not a smooth journey. We had bumps along the way. Some things didn't work out, and that was okay. And we almost, during sessions, reflected on what hadn't worked and why it might not have worked. And there was still that supportive space for us to almost grieve that process. And yes, it did for us work out in the end, and I'm absolutely 100% grateful. But I would absolutely 100% recommend anybody to come and see Heather, whether it be the infertility, the pregnancy, or the combination of the two. Absolutely, I'd recommend anybody.